We're now back in the public meeting, and we're debating part of 6.2 to direct administration to implement a KPMG identified workforce reduction over a 3-year period, using a combination of attrition and retirement to achieve a $5 million savings in salaries and benefits. So Councillor Higgin has opened. Any further questions? Okay, move on to debate. Any debate? Councillor Crowson.
Thank you, Mayor Spearman. Thank you, Acting Mayor Higgin, for bringing this forward. This isn't easy, but this is absolutely necessary. I will be voting in favor of this. We recognize that we have many valuable, hardworking, and wonderful employees at the City of Lethbridge, but we also have to recognize that over the past number of years, our workforce has grown by much more than the population of Lethbridge, and we do need a bit of rejigging, to be honest. And so this is something we need to look at. And I like how this is being done over time. I know many people who work for the city will remember the 1990s cuts. This is much more deliberate. This is much more purposeful. It will be done over time, and I will be absolutely in favor of this motion.
Deputy Mayor Miyashiro.
Thank you, Mayor Spearman. Thank you, Acting Mayor, for bringing this forward. I think what's good about this part of the resolution is that if we're looking at attrition and retirement, we're not looking at letting people go. We're not looking at firing people. We're looking at how can we make a saving and look at rationalizing the workforce a little bit differently. So I will support this.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor Spearman. I do support the motion as worded. When we went down the path of our operational reviews, we knew that there were some things we wanted to look at, some things we wanted to examine, and hopefully some things we wanted to achieve. We knew there'd be some tough decisions ahead of us. I like the thoughtfulness that is put in to implementing this, and I will be supporting this motion.
Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor or Deputy Acting Mayor Higgin, would you like to close?
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Are any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to bylaws. I have a resolution from Councillor Coffman. Bylaw 6251, a bylaw of the City of Lethbridge to establish alternate methods of public notification and advertisements. Second reading. Be it resolved that bylaw 6251, a bylaw of the City of Lethbridge to establish alternate methods of public notification and advertisements, be given second reading. Councillor Coffman.
Thank you, Mayor Spearman. Thank you as well to Mr. Westerson and Ms. Casanti for the work on this as well. I would actually like to propose postponement of this for 2 weeks. There are some things in there that I'd like to ponder based on the responses provided today, with the opportunity to properly word a couple of amendments to this bylaw. So if my colleagues would afford me that request, I would ask members to support a postponement for 2 weeks.
2 weeks soak time. We've generally granted that. Any objections? I hear none. We'll move on to...
Worship, can I weigh in on that one quickly? I just wanted to inform council that is one of the reduction initiatives that was going to be considered next week. So if it's council's direction to do that in a couple of weeks, we just pull that out of the budget deliberations.
Sure. I think that would be the intention, and it would be subsequently, whatever is decided next week would be passed at the subsequent council meeting. Yeah.
If I could just Yeah, if I could actually just reassure the city manager, Mayor Spearman, the language that I'm looking at actually would be, well, hopefully, I don't believe would actually have impact on the potential savings. This is more around the wording and what gets presented how. It's not necessarily about the savings, so it shouldn't impact that aspect of the request.
Councillor Carlson?
Thank you, Mayor Spearman. Just a question on the wisdom of postponement. If it's just for some wording request, could that, or changes, could we not, if council decided, pass the bylaw and have amendments brought forward at a later time? I am just getting concerned that our administration has been bringing forward reduction initiatives, and they don't seem to be getting a lot of traction. So I think our targets might be a little hard to achieve. So I'm just wondering if postponement is necessary, or can be amendments come forward after, if council chooses to proceed.
I didn't hear any objection to what's being proposed. Councillor Coffman has asked for a delay of 2 weeks. We'll in the intervening time, we'll be meeting through the budget process. I don't see the harm in it, but anybody object to a 2-week delay? I think in the past we've allowed people 2 weeks, so we would continue to do that.
Mr. Mayor, just for process, since we have a signed bylaw, wouldn't it be appropriate to at least vote on the postponement so it's official?
We couldn't hear you clearly, Ryan. Could you please repeat that?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just for process, since we have a signed bylaw, wouldn't it be appropriate to at least vote on the postponement so that it's official?
We're just doing second and third reading right now.
So do we have to vote on postponement, or can we just postpone it? Or do you have to vote on the postponement?
We can vote to postpone it, but in the past we've granted it, right?
Okay, sounds good. Okay, just want to double check. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Coffman, do you want to propose a postponement motion, or should we just?
Procedurally, Councillor Parker is correct that if we're postponing something, we should have a vote on it. It has been the tradition that if a member of council has asked for a delay on it, we've just delayed the conversation. I am open to either. If members would prefer, I'll call for a vote on postponement.
Okay, for 2 weeks. Okay, so all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we'll reconsider it in 2 weeks. We'll move on to inquiries. One inquiry submitted on street sweeping. Councillor Campbell.
Just very self-explanatory. Just the gentleman was concerned. This is before the snow. Just you can just read what the response was to that, unless you want me to explain it. Straightforward. Right. So just in context, this is when there was, before snow hit, and he was surprised to find out there were some street sweepers on his street without him being notified. He wanted to know why that was, when in the springtime you were notified, and the answer is that there was only spot street sweeping when it's required in the fall, not so much in the springtime. That's what the inquiry was about.
Okay. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question, and I don't need an answer just today, it's regarding snow removal on pathways throughout the city. I know we had some strange wind this past snowstorm. We had a northerly wind. What is the process? Do we treat our pathways the same way we treat our roadways as priority 1, 2, and 3? Because areas such as 48 40 Avenue to 48th Avenue seems to be a common concern I've been getting from a citizen. So if I could just find out later on in regards to what our priorities for our public pathways in regards to snow removal, that'd be great.
We have a new process for inquiries and a form to submit them on. That's what we're.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I just got that just recently, so I know I could have written up. I just wanted to make sure it was on the public. I will have something in writing to the city manager as well.
Okay, if you can submit that, it'll appear in the next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And do we have another one from Councillor Crowson? Okay, we had another inquiry from Councillor Crowson. I don't think it went out with your package. It has to do with Dieppe Boulevard Waterworks. Several residents of Dieppe Boulevard have wondered when the work will be done and when their water will be back on. Can you let me, that's Councillor Crowson, know when we can expect this project to be completed? There is a response that says the Dieppe Boulevard South Water Main Rehab Project, along with Park Royal and 23rd Street, is being delivered by a combination of city forces and the pipelining contractor, FERPAL. The crews made necessary excavations for the pipelining operation and are making the final connections and disinfection prior to the water being turned back on. All of the pipelining is completed. Water service has been restored to the customers on 23rd Street South and to 1/3 of the customers on Dieppe Boulevard. Park Royal customers should have water fully restored in the next few days. The remaining 2/3 of Dieppe Boulevard will be completed in the next week or two. So that's basically the response to Councillor Crowson's inquiry. Okay. Are there any council updates? I see none. I now have a resolution from Deputy Mayor Miyashiro, closed meeting fire EMS update. Be resolved that Council direct that the closed meeting discussions, reports, presentations, and documents with respect to fire and EMS update remain confidential pursuant to sections 18, harmful to individual or public safety, 21, harmful to intergovernmental relations, 23, local public body confidences, 24, advice from officials, and 25, harmful to economic interests of a public body, of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And further be it resolved that the mayor be authorized to share the presentation with MLA Lethbridge East and Minister of Health. And further be it resolved that this item be referred to the 23rd November meeting of Finance Committee. Deputy Mayor Miyashiro.
Thank you, Mayor Spearman. Call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? There are none. I have a resolution from Acting Mayor Higgin, COVID-19 relief request. Be it resolved that Council direct the closed meeting discussions and report with respect to the COVID-19 relief request remain confidential pursuant to Section 16, harmful to business interests of a third party, 23, local public body confidences, 24, advice from officials, and 25, harmful to economic interests of a public body of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And further be it resolved that Council direct administration to pursue the confidential direction received in closed session and return to the closed meeting of November 30th, 2020. Acting Mayor Higgin, question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? And finally, I have a resolution from Councillor Coffman that we do now adjourn the regular meeting of City Council until November the 30th, 2020. Councillor Coffman?
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.